how are you?
I'm all right. Despite wearing black, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not quite mourning the result on Saturday, although I am pretty angry still.
Where are you with it?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm 50-50. In my head goes either way because you want to move on as quickly as you can. You want to focus on the Champions League. You want to focus on Bournemouth on Saturday. We're recording this at time on Monday evening or afternoon. But and you know, the videos coming out of training, everyone's being smiley. You know, there's a lot of different people posting online saying, you know, let's get behind the boys. You know, we've got so much to focus on. Blah 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 blah. But there's also an element of me which just thinks Arteta has slightly been naive and shown a little bit of lack of experience at this stage, where I think what's annoyed me more than anything is his decision to play Kepa, to be honest. And after going through what we did with the League Cup, and just I feel like playing Kepa at the back just doesn't give you a base of solid confidence thinking as a defensive unit that flows through the rest of the team. So when you've got that in windy conditions away from home in the Championship against Southampton, you need your most solid player, arguably our best player this season, and to not play him again does not make any sense. I don't know what nudes Kepa has of Arteta to keep him, to hold him ransom for that. But it's bizarre. I can't understand it. And the more I think about it, the more it annoys me. But it's not only that. It's also things. It's also players like Jesus, Martinelli, Havertz to a certain degree. Norgard wasn't great. All these players, Lewis Skelly as well. All these players who had such a platform to really put them they haven't been great the whole season, and that game was a real platform for them to make their mark and to show up where they've been pretty crap the whole season. And Jesus was anonymous, and it annoys me that he's our top earner at the club. Like, it's all these little things that are coming to the fore. So I'm in kind of two minds. It's just annoying because it obviously now ramps up the pressure on the Champions League and the Premier League, which we just didn't need at all. And it was a game we should have easily won. It should have been a confidence boost after the Carabao Cup, and now it's just ramped up even more pressure on the team. And the fans are more angsty than ever. And I feel like this loss the reaction to the loss has gone beyond just a normal bad loss. I think this has been simmering for a while, even though we are top of the league. 9 points clear, you know, we're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. There's been a lot of papering over cracks, and I think that is starting to show, particularly from the fan base, as I think pressure is definitely getting to a few of us. But I mean, the good thing is that we have Lisbon on Tuesday or tomorrow. So it's a quick turnaround. But
time recording, it is tomorrow.
But I know I don't know I don't know about you, but I'm more teetering on annoyed, to be honest.
Well, I enjoyed the rant. It was look. I think it's after a loss like this, everyone sort of goes their own way, and whatever kind of things that have been bubbling away tend to come out. If you want to go to the Kepa or the choice of fullbacks, or if you wanted to go Odegaard coming back, or the injuries, prioritisation, like, you know, all of this sort of stuff. And everyone has their right to do that. You know, and that's why people are ranting on social media or doing that sort of stuff. For me, mate, I mean, I've done the really healthy thing, and I've not been on social media at all since, apart from a little bit of Twitter today, just to check on injury news. And I feel fine. I feel absolutely fine. I feel it was an embarrassing result, but I think it's not the end of the world at all. And the reason why I feel like that is because when I saw that team sheet and who was even not on the bench, you know, Rice, Saka, Timber, like all this sort of thing. All right, I'm looking at it and I think, right, the club's not prioritising this. If you 100,000 times, if you gave me the same situation, I'd have done exactly the same thing. Maybe the Kepa and Rice situation, perhaps, fine. I'm actually open to that argument. And we can talk about that goalkeeper situation specifically in a bit. But basically, I would rather roll the dice with a rotated squad and absolutely focus everything on tomorrow and, to be honest, mainly Saturday against Bournemouth. Get that right. If we'd have started a full team yesterday and, someone had tweaked their ankle, and we are starting to run thin with injuries from a creative point of view, fine. And do you know what? Embarrassing loss against a good Southampton team in difficult conditions, Saturday night, away. It's a big day for them. I think, ultimately, it wasn't a priority for us, and the way we played, not only like the team that we played, showed that. I don't think anyone looked like they wanted to be there, which I think is a problem in itself.
That's what annoys me.
That annoys me. But
the rotation thing is we didn't have a choice because Gyökeres had just played 2 games for Sweden. Calafiori just played 2 games for Sweden, like competitive games.
Yeah.
Noni's coming back from injury. Saliba apparently has had a bit of a knock. Zubimendi's had a bit of a knock. Like all these players, like we couldn't have played a much like different team.
Yeah.
So that was the other issue. So it's.
I don't know. I think we deprioritised it, mate. I really do.
That in itself is.
And I don't mind that.
I mean,
at all.
We haven't won a trophy in 6 years.
I know, but I get it.
Why are we suddenly? This is why it's like naive thinking that we're just gonna comfortably potentially win the league, and do well in the Champions League.
But I think that's almost the opposite, because I think if we played a full strength team, that would have been relatively naive.
But I don't think. I think that was. As I said, I don't think we could have played a much stronger team without being reckless. Do you know what I mean?
But I think that's the point, right? Recklessness. Like we've done this so many times where. Remember that Sporting game where you could say we haven't done a Sporting where we injured and Saliba and Tomiyasu got injured, right, all those years ago.
Yeah.
We were in the running, right. You could say exact same thing. It's a Europa League. It's a trophy. What are you doing? But after that, we were furious that we didn't rotate more. Why was Saliba playing? Why was valid questions? And we ended up going out, and I think we only end up having these questions when we go out of a trophy. And I don't know about you, but all of my anxiety and all of my pressure from mates, from school, just the world of pressure is on the Premier League. Because I don't think, and we can go into a bit more, I don't think we're going to win the Champions League. I think I don't have enough confidence in big fixtures against big teams. At the moment, I just haven't really seen us deliver against Liverpool, City, whatever this season, right? Okay, and that's fine. Like if we win the Premier League by beating all the medium to low teams, then we win the Premier League. Like I don't care, and we can do that with the run-in we have. But with where the FA Cup would have placed, put it this way: when we went 2-1 down, I was like, I'd rather go out than have extra time and win. Because I did not want that extra 30 minutes. We did not need. And hey, look, I'm really embarrassed about the result. I'm upset that we aren't in another semi-final, but we would have been placing City again. And I am upset, but I'm so conscious that the rest, like the whole narrative of Arsenal, the pressure that I feel, the way Arteta's going to be judged, the way the club are going to be looked at, the way our summer's going to feel, is based on the Premier League. And I would have, come on, we all would have loved a bloody treble, but also, let's just, I think we've got to win. Put it this way, if we won the FA Cup and bottled the league, because we were a bit tired or whatever, Arteta, we'd still be framed that. And I know what you're going to say, we still want all of them, and I do want all of them, but in terms of prioritisation, I think this focuses us far more. And I think the players, shamefully, played like it wasn't their priority.
Well, that's the issue,
and it is an issue. But
because you've got players on the fringe who've been crap all season. Like why aren't you winning every second ball? Southampton won every single second ball.
Yeah,
you're fighting for a place in the team in the run-in for one of the most exciting 2 months of your career.
Yeah,
and you've got the World Cup to go to. Potentially go to. Why? How much more motivation do you need?
Oh, I think that's a separate issue. I'm not saying definitely. I'm absolutely not saying I didn't want to win. I'm gutted that we didn't. But I'm trying to think of it like this way, and I'm looking at those players and. But I think, what are you doing? If you're trying to get in the team and those are your performances.
But I think there's a difference between, the Europa Cup or the Europa League 2 years ago, whatever it was, 3 years ago, when we played Tomiyasu and Saliba. I felt like that was an unnecessary trophy because we were going for top 4, and that was more important
for the league that year.
Well, yeah, even better. That was more important for our development as a club.
Yeah.
As opposed to just winning winning a trophy that didn't. It doesn't mean as much the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But we've got the squad to win the FA Cup and still be able to deal with the injuries or fatigue to go for the Premier League and Champions League, unless it's someone like Declan Rice who gets injured, unless it's someone like Gabriel potentially gets injured, whatever. There's a different story. But we've dealt with so many injuries already this year. There's no reason why we couldn't win all three.
Yeah,
if not even four.
Yeah, and look, I definitely feel that. But in terms of, I think where we are now as a club, the Premier League is our development point. Like,
sure, but
and I think that, and by the way, like I'm sitting here like, obviously I'm gutted we lost, but delighted we don't have an extra fixture or two, and I don't know. I mean, when the rearrangements would have been really difficult. We would have had to get off. I think it was would have been off the back of City. Would have had to go then and play Newcastle 2 days later.
Yeah, or 3 days later. I think it was, whatever.
And it's like squeezing in these difficult fixtures and something. I just think this club needs the Premier League, and whatever happens off the back of that is tertiary. That's the way I look at it, and that is like just the way I feel about this.
If we win the Premier League, then nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly.
But there has to be a viewpoint that you've just come off a horrific performance in the League Cup final.
Yeah, that was awful.
And you followed up with this, and then suddenly you're going into potentially the biggest game in Bournemouth in the last potentially 15 years for Arsenal. 20 years.
Yep. I look, if we
that game is that game is just
which is
enormous now.
Both Sporting and Bournemouth are both enormous games.
Yeah.
And I completely get that if you're looking at a week with 3 fixtures, well, 4, you can even look as far ahead to the City game. That's a big block of 4 games. I can understand why you'd have rotated for Southampton and rolled the dice. And we lost.